Coming up today on David versus Goliath.
Being on purpose, to me, is my number one priority.
It's make the logo big. Make the logo big.
We're actually doing this.
Welcome to today's episode of David versus Goliath, a podcast dedicated to helping small businesses leverage technology to not only help them compete against their large competitors, but win. Your host is currently the CEO of Anthem Business Software, a three-time Inc. 500 recipient, and a serial entrepreneur with a passion to help small businesses everywhere find, serve, and keep more customers profitably. Please join me in welcoming your host, Adam DeGraide.
Hey everyone, it's Adam DeGraide from David versus Goliath podcast. Welcome to what we believe to be one of the best business, education, inspiration shows in the world, if we say so ourselves, David versus Goliath. I'm excited about today. I'm actually fired up about today because we have our very first female owner and entrepreneur, Erin Laine from Resurrect Wood Refinishing. She's got over 20 years experience, college-educated artist, painting for years, and an awesome person. The interview should be great. But before we get into that, let's cover some housekeeping items. Number one, I want to thank our corporate sponsor, Anthem Software, where you can find, serve, and keep more customers profitably. You can take the tour. It's a 120-second tour at anthemsoftware.com. You can also visit us today at davidvsgoliathpodcast.com. That's davidvsgoliathpodcast.com. There you can subscribe to be updated when new episodes come out and also apply to be on the David versus Goliath podcast. We're getting applications now, which is exciting. If you have an interesting story, something that's unique, a product that's revolutionary, a story that would be interesting to our listeners, please apply. We'd love to have you on the David versus Goliath podcast as well, too. Now, with all of that out of the way, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and to listen to us in any one of your favorite podcast applications. Most likely, we are there. Let's get right to it with Erin Laine from Resurrect Wood Refinishing. Welcome to the David versus Goliath podcast.
Hello, thank you.
It is so great to see you. I love your setup over there. I can see the Resurrect Wood Finishing in the background, some cool pieces of art. I love the name. I love the name, by the way, Erin. I don't know if you know this or not. My very first business, we had a CRM software as well that we provided to clients. And one of the features in the software was to resurrect dead leads. So a lot of businesses, as you know, get hundreds of leads over the years, but they never have a way to stay in communication with them. And this is early in the internet. And so we called that section of our software the resurrection piece of it. And I liked it because it had a spiritual overtone as well. Yeah. But anyway, tell the listeners and viewers, great to have you. First female on DVG. What an honor to have you. It's awesome to be here. Let us know a little bit about Resurrect Wood Refinishing and how you got to where you are today.
Well, so we're kind of a newer company. We're in our first year. I was working in the industry for the last 6 or 7 years. I was a lead technician for another company and really had a passion for entrepreneurship and wanted my own small business. And so kind of started to take some steps towards that. And basically here we are. What we do is we do refinishing of wood, a lot of wood restoration, but our main thing is we do color changes on cabinets. So we do a lot of kitchen cabinetry, high-end woodwork, millwork in people's homes. And we change the color, either restain it or restore it to what it used to be or change the color completely.
Yeah, it's funny for the viewers and listeners and watchers. So first of all, she says she's a new business. I know she's been around doing this for a little bit. She was a lead tech for a while, worked in a franchise. I call it defective capitalism, where you decide, you know what, I can do this better or different, and you start your own business.
Yeah.
But when you say change colors, it's cool because I went to your website the other day and you have this brand new video where you actually time lapse what it's like over a 3-day period to transform someone's kitchen without removing the woodwork, but actually taking some of it to your studio and painting it and then doing other parts of it right there in the house and then putting it all together. It's pretty dramatic. It's almost like, I don't know if you know this, Erin, I used to be in the plastic surgeon industry. I used to work with about 900 plastic surgeons and cosmetic derms, and they always had these before and after photos that they would show people. Before they looked like this, now they look like that. Most of those were okay. Some of them were great, But when I took a look at your before and afters, they were amazing. So when you go into someone's home and they're telling you what you want to do, how do you help them understand what the process is like? Because I know, I just had this done with myself, and for full disclosure, you did it at my house. You did a great job. When you have distressed wood, okay, it's going to still look distressed even when you change the color. And I can imagine that sometimes people have different expectations. How do you set the stage for the person, what they can expect, and more importantly, what their options are?
Well, I will tell you what, that's a great question. We really try very hard to manage expectations. That's number one priority. Number one priority is always to manage the expectation of the customer, because it is very hard for most people to visualize. If you're not working as a visual artist or in the visual arts or have some sort of design background, you pick a color, you kind of like it, but to actually try and visualize what it's going to look like in your home is a very difficult thing. And especially if you're doing like a restaining or a restoration, we try to really walk people through that process of like, hey, your wood floors or your cabinetry is at a 6 on a scale from 1 to 10. I can get you to an 8.5, a 9, but it's never going to be brand new 10. Again, this is restoration work. And part of the charm of your old woodwork is that it looks original, so we really do try to manage that. We also provide a service with a designer, an interior designer who can come in and help hold hand a little bit with people picking out color choices, and then we provide a sample door. But it really is, it's just a huge amount of communication is the number one priority. It's just to communicate with the customer, make sure that they have a good idea of what to expect and what not to expect. The video has been very helpful, showing people like, hey, we do this process incredibly fast. Most kitchens we can do, the average kitchen we can do in about 3 days, and they don't have to take their stuff out of the cabinets. We come in and we tape the whole thing up top to bottom in 1 day. The next day we're spraying the boxes. The next day we're bringing back the doors and putting it back together. So it's a pretty quick thing.
Yeah, it is. It is a quick thing, and it's actually pretty amazing. Like the transformation is something people have to see. And I've actually, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I've been playing some of that video right now. Now, I would recommend as a marketer, what I would tell you, what I think you should do with the video is I would definitely add a voiceover to it with some closed captions for people that, I know people can see it, but sometimes it's good to have the words on the screen, descriptions of what you're doing. I think it really lets people have a window of what the process is and what they can expect themselves. And I'm sure you've listened to some episodes of David versus Goliath. My whole thing here is trying to support the local small business who's up against these giant competitors. And cabinetry and woodworking and redoing your kitchen can be ridiculously expensive. And in some cases, this can be less expensive, more affordable. And to your point, and if it's not more affordable, you get to keep what you love about your kitchen already. Right. When you sat down and you said, I'm gonna go on my own. I'm gonna open up the doors. I'm gonna do Resurrect Wood Refinishing, where we're gonna change people's houses, resurrect that wood back to life. You sat down, I'm sure, with some friends, and you thought to yourself, am I crazy? Can I really do this? What was going through your mind at that point in time? And then also, I'd love to have you address the listeners and the viewers as to plans. Did you have a plan, or was it kind of like, we're just going to go for it? Or did you really try to map it out?
Those are really great questions. First of all, I still think maybe I'm a little crazy, but I think you have to be a business owner. I think you have to be a little bit crazy. You're stepping out in faith that you might be able to make something work. And the difference between you and everybody else is just that you just put it into motion, So I think getting to this point was a very long process, but I had listened to one of your other guests that you had on the show was talking about loving what you do. And I think that is so important. Being on purpose, to me, is my number one priority. If I don't love it, if I don't want to go to bed because I want to keep working at it, then I'm not on my purpose. I'm doing something that I'm wasting a little bit of time. So you have to love it. If you love what you do, I think it's crazy not to try and do it for yourself. And it was a very long process. I at first was thinking I was going to purchase someone else's business because I wasn't sure that I had the gumption to actually just start a company from scratch. I didn't know a whole lot about business. Just took some small courses here and there to try and learn because I'm from the art world. My background is in fine arts. That's my painting. I have been doing painting for the last.
Awesome, by the way, that's a beautiful painting.
Thank you. You can't even see the top of it, but thank you very much.
What actually is it?
So it's the very top of it. There's a woman laying on top of a glass ceiling. So this is kind of like an inspirational piece of for women empowerment.
I love it. That's great. That's great.
This is somebody's image. The inside of their image is a camera looking back at them, and it's just a reminder not to worry about what people think about you. It's not about your image isn't who other people see you as.
Yeah, it's great. It's great, Erin. I love that. And it is a bold move to start a business. So from what I'm hearing, there really wasn't a lot of planning going involved in it. It was more of a gut check for yourself to say, I think I can do this, and therefore I'm going to do it. It's not like you mapped out, how much money do I need and how much money do I need to survive? I'm sure you thought of it, but was it formal like that? Or was it more like, I know I can do this. I believe I can crash through that glass ceiling, and I'm just going to do it?
Well, it was a little bit of a combination of both. Like I said, I was really envisioning that I was going to purchase someone else's business, an established one. So I was really doing all of my numbers and all of my research based on this existing business. And it turned out that the business got sold to somebody else while I was in the middle of thinking I was buying it. So it was kind of devastating at first. And then it was like, okay, what do I do from here? And I talked to a couple of my mentors, and they were like, well, I just think that this is just the best thing that's ever happened, because I think you should go out on your own. And it hadn't even occurred to me to try and do it myself, because franchises are set up in a certain way that they pick all the products for you, and they show you how to do everything. And I fine tuned that so tightly, and really was proud of what I built, that I was like, oh, could I do that? And so it started off as just an idea on a page, like, what would it cost? Let's just start putting down numbers. What do we think it would cost? Who could I get these products from? Start doing research. Who could help me if I needed advice? Who can, and it happened very, very quickly. I would say within a month, it was like very clear. The answer was there. Like, go do it. Just do it.
That's, it's awesome. And I love it because, people don't realize, like, this is not for the faint of heart, starting your own business and really, taking that next step to go from idea to execution. Now, I know you've got some great people involved in it as well, too. You're a small team right now because you just started.
Yes.
And it's sometimes the most special time in a business is when everyone in the business. I always tell people, like, when my company, once it reaches like 50 employees, typically I start to like get glazed in the eyes. And when I was at 150 employees, I'd walk through my own office. You have too many employees when you actually call your business and the person answering the phone doesn't know who you are. So it's, and I've had that happen before as well too. But there's nothing like that special time with the special people that are crazy enough to join you on the journey. Tell the folks a little bit about your team and how they round you out.
Absolutely. There's absolutely no way I could do this without my team. I have some very crazy, very wonderful family members and friends who really believed in me, believed in my vision for the company, and were like, yep, we'll jump on board. And me going, hey, some weeks I might not have work. We'll see what happens, and it's been amazing because God has provided and we haven't not had work, but it is a leap of faith on their part as well. And really, it's very humbling to have people believe in you and say, you know what, we think you can do this and we're going to help you do it. It's amazing. So right now we're very small. We're pretty much a family owned business. My dad does all of the carpentry.
That's great.
My best friend, who's kind of like the little brother of the family, who hangs out with my family all the time, he is my sales and office manager. Then I have two technicians, one of which I work in film production with all the time. So we use the space here for film production. So it's kind of worked out to be fun for him as well. And another one of my technicians is a full-time musician. So when he can, he jumps on. It's been really, really good. Having the right people, I think, is massive. Absolutely massive, because I know for sure I wouldn't have taken the jump without them. Yeah,
you have to, right? You have to surround yourself with great people. I mean, I think that at the end of the day, it's not just about planning and that moving forward and those goals. You got to have the right people to execute the goals. Because, a very good business person that I've known for years, his name was Zeus Wolfington. He actually invented car leasing. So imagine that, Erin. You're the your claim to fame is you invented the car lease. I think how many people have leased vehicles and have leased everything since those days, right? And when he was mentoring me, one of the things he taught him, his nephew and myself, who was my business partner at the time, is you never want to do business alone. It's too difficult. It can be too painful to do it alone. And I know people that have done it alone and they can be alone. But the nice part about having partners and friends that are with you and family members is that you truly are doing it together and you're not alone. And so it helps in the good times and it helps in the challenging times as well, too, because they can lift you up. At the end of the day, if you're having a tough day, maybe they have a good attitude. If they're having a bad attitude that day, maybe you've got the good attitude. So does that dynamic play at all with you and your small unit right now?
Oh, absolutely. My sales manager is the most positive person I've ever met in my entire life. And whenever I'm down, he's always there going, it's going to be fine. We'll figure it out. I think hiring people with a good attitude is probably way more important than skill, because you can teach people how to do what you do, but you can't teach people how to have a good attitude. You can't teach people how to enjoy life, and you can't teach people how to be positive about their own future. And it's the whole apple cart, scenario. The one bad apple ruins the whole cart. One bad attitude can ruin the whole thing. And instead, I hear from my employees all the time, like, man, I just feel like I just got to hang out with my friends today. I just felt like I was just hanging out with my friends all day, Yeah,
totally. And, it's so funny. I tell people all the time, a bad attitude never yields to a good result, ever. You always have to have a positive attitude. And having that smile, and you made a very good point, by the way, for the listeners and watchers. You can hire skill, but you can't, you have to hire people's attitude, because you could train skills, you could train tasks, you could train those things. But if somebody is not a really happy person in general, that's going to spill over to you, your coworkers, your customers. And so for those of you who are employees of businesses, your attitude makes all the difference in the world. And people like us are looking for people with great attitudes. So Erin, I got to take a quick break from our corporate sponsor, Anthem Software. We'll be right back.
Anthem Business Software System is designed to specifically help small businesses just like yours find, serve, and keep more customers profitably. We do this by providing you with the most powerful software, automations, and marketing services to help your business compete and win in this ever-changing digital world. Take a short video tour at anthemsoftware.com.
Anthem Software. Every business has a song. Let our software sing yours.
And we're back on David versus Goliath with our very first female breaking the glass, starting her own business, having fun doing it, Erin Laine from Resurrect Wood Refinishing. So where did you get the name from?
So the name Resurrect, man, it's awesome. I was trying to think of a name, and like I said, I have a very tight-knit group of people who have come up with me on this journey, and I actually teach a Christian yoga class at my local church, at my church, God's House, Orlando. And at the end of the yoga class, so actually an employee named it, came up to me and said, I've got the name, Resurrect. And I was like, that is brilliant. I love it. Yes,
works.
That's it.
It works.
Yeah, it kind of encompasses everything. First of all, we're a faith-based company. Second of all, we really do restoration and, resurrect people's kitchens and their heirlooms and all kinds of stuff. So that it's kind of twofold in that way. And I love the logo too. I love the R. R's look good, right?
Listen, I'm a big fan of giant logos, as anybody who knows me. There's a funny song years ago that we used to play all the time in our business called Make the Logo Big. It's make the logo big. Make the logo big. Bigger, make it big. And it was so funny. Yeah, because when you're in a marketing company like I've been for my whole life, the client's logo is never big enough. So it'd always be like, hey, listen, I really like what you're doing, but could you make the logo a little bit bigger? And so it's a joke, but it's actually a very, very funny video. You should look it up on YouTube. It's called Make the Logo Big. I can't remember the artist, but it's a group of graphic artists who were so sick and tired of their clients asking for it. They just wrote a song. And it's actually pretty funny, so you should check it out.
I think that's fantastic.
It is fantastic. Now, I love the logo. Logo's amazing. Your website's nice, too, as well. Now, your process of your people, this is because you're a new business, you're trying to figure everything out, right? You're trying to learn how to use software to automate a lot of your, the things you're doing, used to do manually. You're trying to make sure that your people are showing up on time, that you're bidding people properly, that you're using all these different moving pieces. Are you currently working right now on trying to streamline that as well in your business?
Absolutely. I think it's a process. Being in the first year and it being so different, being a new business versus coming from a franchise where so much of that stuff was done for you. It's definitely, we're trying to find our stride right now and figure out what dollars that are going where are coming back, with the most return. So it is a process. And every business owner I've talked to, and yourself included, has said, hey, the first year is very much about learning. You're going to figure out a lot about what works, what doesn't work, so that you can kind of prioritize year two. So it's been very, very different. I'm very surprised at how different it is from a franchise, from coming from that background and having something corporate set up nationwide versus being the little guy, who's just trying to make a name in town. It's been a process, but I think that we've partnered up with Anthem, which has been amazing. Branding wise, we're killing it. We're doing great.
That's great.
And I feel like people are starting to really recognize the name along with our quality, because that's the thing. We have to be different than them somehow. And our whole thing is we're higher quality. I am a perfectionist. I try and make everything as absolutely perfect as I possibly can. I want to leave things better than I found them.
That's great.
And I feel like those little touches and using a higher quality product, doing the research, putting in the time, figuring out what makes something high end. And that's kind of the customers that we're trying to go after. So it's not as plentiful because there aren't as many of those customers. We're not doing, a lot of condo kitchens, but I feel like it's a niche that's been carved out and really had a need here in Orlando for sure.
That's awesome. You said something. It's called tuition. You're paying tuition right now in the beginning of a business to figure out what works and why it works. So are you using social media right now?
We are. I'm actually doing quite a bit with Facebook ads. They seem to be, those seem to be working out pretty well.
It's great.
Being able to optimize what audiences you want to reach is pretty beneficial. And if something's not working, we take it off for a while and then retry, because, this kind of business is very seasonal too. Not everybody's going to want to start looking at redoing their cabinets right before a holiday. So it's one of those.
I would imagine you have some downtime during that time, but that's not necessarily bad to plan and to think and strategize and get away with your team to try to figure it out. But I mean,
exactly.
What's your favorite? Now, listen, you don't have to say it's my project. What's been the most challenging and favorite project you've worked on so far? Do you enjoy like a single room, multiple rooms? I mean, what's your favorite thing to do?
The most challenging, memorable job so far has been, we did a golf pro shop at the Disney Golf Resort.
Oh, wow.
We did the entire pro shop, and it was, woodwork, floor to ceiling, everywhere around. They wanted the whole thing done in a darker stain. So it was very new for all of us, because we're kitchens, bathrooms, built-ins, and everybody knows how to do everything, and they're all in different areas. So you send this team to this room and this team to this room, and you guys do different things. And this is like, okay, we're all in one shared space. It's a ton. It's like lots of ceiling work, but it was really fun, and I was shocked.
Which clubhouse? Do you mind telling me which one it was? I'm curious.
I'm sorry, say again. Which
pro shop was it?
The BBL. Or LBB.
Lake
Yeah.
Oh, I got to go. When did you do that? Because I can't remember the last time I golfed there. I got to go check it out.
We just did it, I would say, like 6 to 8 weeks ago. So it's newer.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I'm going to go check it out now. I'm a big golfer. And I know what that place used to look like, and that place needed some love. There's
It
no
needed it. It needed it. I was like, why did you guys wait so long?
I know. But you did it though.
stunning.
And by the way, folks that are listening and watching, you can just see Erin's smile is infectious. Her love for what she does and her passion for what she does is infectious. Yeah, I guess that's a little heart emoji thing that we all do. What advice do you give to people? How do you have such a great attitude when you're thinking about the possibilities of all the things that could go wrong? What makes you happy? Like, how do you get up every day and say, I'm going to do this today and we're going to win?
I can't imagine doing anything else. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. It's like, I work a lot in film, and so I work around a lot of actors, and they always say, you know you're supposed to be an actor when there's just nothing else that you want to do. There's nothing else I could think of that I could be doing right now that would be as fulfilling as making this business work. There's just nothing else. Like, I think that's really important.
You can't imagine yourself doing anything else. And that is a secret. So hold on, Erin. When we come back, I want to talk about courage, the smooth stone that the shepherd boy used to kill Goliath. We talked a little bit about it in the beginning, but I want to try to take you back to when you were sitting there in that morning, you woke up and it was the very first day Resurrect was in business. I wanted you to go back and tell the listeners what that was like right after this break from another sponsor on David versus Goliath.
At King 16, our agency has done some exciting things over the years. We've designed and built amazing experiences for customers and launched several vehicles for Audi and Porsche. We've thrown extravagant parties inside whiskey distilleries and featured amazing products for brands like Ray-Ban and Fossil. We booked some incredible talent and designed cutting-edge stages for those performances. We even threw a red carpet gala in the middle of nowhere on a horse farm with hundreds of celebrities, which was difficult. I guess you could say we've done some amazing things for our brands and partners. Now the only question is, what will King 16 do for you? Find out at king16.com. That's King, SIXTEEN.com.
And we're back. I'm your host, Adam DeGraide, once again, as I have been since the entire beginning of this podcast and every other podcast I've ever done. That's exactly who I am. Adam DeGraide. Erin, it's great to have you on the show. I think people are really enjoying this. So we talked about before the break, bringing you back to that first morning. You open your eyes, you walk out, you grab that cup of coffee or whatever you do. Tell people what that was like.
I honestly think that if everything went so fast that I didn't even have a moment to take a pause until the end of the day, because my most memorable moment from the beginning was locking up my shop doors and looking at my logo on the door and walking away. I'm like, we're actually doing this. And I kept feeling like, you've heard the term imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I feel very much a lot of imposter syndrome. Like, I'm just faking it to be a business owner. I'm not really a business owner. Like, any day somebody's going to find out that I don't really own a business, but I do. And it's funny because I don't see myself as higher than anybody else. I don't see myself as doing anything, groundbreaking or noble. I just see it as, this is just what we're supposed to do. So this is what I'm doing. And I can't imagine doing anything else.
You said something interesting, an imposter.
Yeah.
And I was reading a book, I think it was Mere Christianity, I can't remember. C.S. Lewis was talking about like what it was like to be a good Christian. How do you become a good Christian?
Yeah.
He goes, well, it's pretty simple. Just pretend you are.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you just might be, basically. And
exactly.
As a small business owner, you don't think of yourself as a business owner, but just act like one. And before you know it, you are one. Now, have you ever had any sleepless nights leading up to this?
A few. More just feeling like I'm in over my head a little bit here and there. But I think that's why it's really important to have a network of mentors, people who have been where you've been, and you can they always say that you can never grow bigger than the biggest person in your circle.
That's
so it's
right.
important to have people who are 50 years down the road from where you want to be and who have started where you've started, to ask those questions to, like, what do I do? Like when you start to spin, who can calm you down and say, nope, this is normal. This is normal. This is normal. Everybody goes through this. Everybody goes through this. And it's also kind of like you don't get the baby without the birth, without the pains of the birth. It's just, you have to go through those pains, and you have to be refined, and you have to learn, and you have to be humble enough to know that you don't know everything. As much as I know about the actual technique of refinishing cabinets, I don't know squat about small business. I'm learning. This is brand new for me. So, and knowing that it's okay to be in that spot and say, hey, I need help, or hey, I'm feeling discouraged. I don't know what I'm doing. And hire people who know what they're doing.
Erin, that is fascinating. I mean, and for those of you who are listening and watching, I just edited out a giant coughing fit that I had at the end of Erin's last segment. So if the transition's not perfect, you'll now know why. I almost died filming and recording the David versus Goliath podcast. Now, Erin, this has been so awesome. You said so many great things, and I hope the watchers and listeners are paying attention. What is the one piece of advice you would give to someone who's thinking, I want to start my own business, or they're in their own business, they're struggling a little bit? What would you tell them to do, and what advice would you give them to make that move forward? Pray.
I mean, that's my honest heart is pray. Pray about it. Pray without ceasing. Pray until God gives you an answer, because He will. He will. I didn't know if I was making the right choice or not, and I took it to the Lord every single day until I got a firm yes. And I didn't get it just once. I got it a few times, and God brought different people into my life and worked through, coincidences, and worked through financial help, and worked through numbers, and it's just, He'll make the doors blaze open if it's what you're meant to do. So I feel like if anybody's, and that's true of anything in life, anything that we want to step out in faith, whether it's a relationship or a new business or a purchase of a home, I feel like if we make room to let God have some say, He'll help us out.
It's awesome. That is such great advice. And David versus Goliath is not a religious program by any stretch of the imagination, but coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. And if you're listening to this episode of David versus Goliath, it is not a coincidence. You are here on purpose. Erin, it has been so wonderful having you on David versus Goliath. Thank you so much for joining. And everyone, stay tuned for another amazing episode next week on David versus Goliath. Have an awesome day.